Trump has a time machine. Written by Anon in the year 2016, 3 months before the election of President Trump. After Nikola Tesla's death, the FBI ordered the alien property custodian to seize Tesla's belongings, even though Tesla was an American citizen. The National Defense Research Committee called in an MIT professor to make sense of Tesla's notes in order to analyze if anything in them could be weaponized. That MIT professor was John Trump. If you are not familiar with Tesla's theories in his later years, he explored fantastic topics like free energy, anti-gravity, invisibility, and even time travel. John Trump claimed that there was nothing of any real substance in Tesla's notes, but this was of course a lie. He knew that if the National Defense Research Committee realized what the notes contained, it could mean the end of the world, because included in them were blueprints for a theoretical time machine. Although John Trump thought that Tesla's time machine was plausible, it was not possible to create it using their technology during his time. John Trump later died in 1985, but not before leaving Tesla's notes and the implications to the protection of his beloved nephew, Donald Trump. Around this same time period, Donald Trump was known to use pseudonyms such as John Miller and John Barron, in partial homage to his uncle. However, there was another pseudonym that Trump was not well known for using, John Titor. Trump, as John Titor, traveled to the future under the assumed identity of a soldier, where he discovered that America and the entire world had become a nuclear dystopia caused by racial Islamic terror. John Titor began posting to several forums in 2000 and 2001, speaking of events that happened in the timeline that he had witnessed. He spoke of terrible events that would occur from the early 2000s through 2012. He could not name radical Islamic terror at the time, or the timeline may become unavoidable. He had to be extremely cautious and analyze the near-infinite temporal variables' arid possibilities before making his move. Trump traveled time, assuming a fortune and making subtle changes, which helped him to delay the future he saw for as long as he could. But that future is now coming. Trump knew that the only way he could have enough influence to prevent this future totally would be to become the President of the United States. And Anon says, I never heard of John Trump before today, but now that I look into it, I think there's a pretty good chance that Trump is actually in possession of some rare Tesla technology. And he posts a link from the New Yorker called Donald Trump's Nuclear Uncle. Some other Anons react, holy fucking shit, it all makes sense. This is why Trump Tower got struck by lightning. Wasn't it the day that he was officially nominated? I knew this was a special day. Trump is in possession of Tesla notes and inventions. Great fucking Scott! Holy shit, it's real! What the fuck? Why haven't we heard of this before? This is like a fucking movie plot or something. Then the time travel continues. If it has ever seemed to you that Trump has a bizarre ability to accurately predict and manipulate his political opponents to his advantage, you're on the right track. The truth is, they are not predictions, rather they are coordinated events. However, there's one thing you need to know about Donald Trump's campaign for presidency. Trump wants to be president, but not for very long, only as long as it takes. He always said he wouldn't want to be president if there was someone else he thought would do as good a job. This is where Mike Pence comes in. You see, Mike Pence is also a time traveler who Trump met many years ago, depending on your perspective. Pence is from far further in the future and has a Pence is from far further in the future and has a superior time machine. To put it simply, he can be present at the same time more than once. For example, there can be more than one Mike Pence on Earth at a given time period. And as a side note, if you ever thought Pence looks like a little strange or out of place, he is from far enough in the future where the races have sort of become homogenized. And Anon checks the trips and says, Keck has spoken, Pence is from the future. The time traveler continues. Mike Pence, or rather copies of him, were sent back to the past by Pence Prime and Trump in order to infiltrate the lives of political enemies before they ever became political enemies. Indeed, there are many such enemies, none of whom you have heard of, who met their demise or fell into obscurity long before they could become a threat to Trump. Pence's motives to help Trump are as follows: A. Avoid a temporal conflict, and B. Become president himself, as promised by Trump. Unfortunately, a temporal conflict could not be avoided after all. Time travel, especially the rudimentary variant currently in use by a certain group of people, not Trump or Pence, is not without its side effects. Then he links a YouTube video. Edit Room Vital here. The video he linked to is already deleted from the internet, but according to a quick DuckDuckGo search, it was one of the videos that showed the brain freeze of Hillary Clinton. Their overuse of the technology, while certainly having a negative impact on the health of their agents, has time and time again, no pun intended, stymied a lot of Pence and Trump's plans. And Anon writes his own theory in green text. Ivanka was born to another father and Ivana in the original timeline. Trump was dating her, but Trump went back in time and has a large family now with Ivana, thus becoming Ivanka's father. This is what he meant by, perhaps if she were my daughter, I'd be dating her. The time traveler continues. Before I forget, Tim Kaine, who is gay, is not involved in this plot, and was essentially neutralized as a political threat long ago by one of the Pences, who is still in service. Luckily for Trump, his temporal enemies do not realize this. Simply take a closer look at Kaine's wife, their story, etc. But I'm getting sidetracked. He continues. Trump is causing the Mandela effect. The celebrities' deaths being averted or delayed are due to time ripples. The huge and lavish funerals for otherwise trivial people are because of slow news days, because Trump and Pence are stumbling the terrorists. Muhammad Ali and Mandela died in the Alpha timeline, and few battled an eye because bigger events were occurring. Trump is not just a god emperor, he is a superhero. Trump's first attempt at defeating Hillary Clinton happened in the late 1990s. To be more specific, Trump hatched a plan to shame and discredit her husband, Bill Clinton, to the point that Hillary would not be able to successfully run for public office. While the plan succeeded in some regard, a temporal intrusion by Hillary from the future prevented any lasting damage. She then went on successfully to run for the US Senate in New York. Soon thereafter, despite Trump's best efforts, that tragic day on 9/11 occurred, Trump's biggest mistake, and something he regrets every day, and every yesterday, and every tomorrow. And Anon remarks, don't let Shill slide this thread, the memes are converging, Keck was revitalized using chronoton radiation, a time travel event awoke the god of chaos. Repeat, the memes are converging. Another Anon creates a theory. Now the question remains, did Trump go back in time and awoken Keck by accident to receive his blessing? Or did Trump create Keck because he knows that memetics are what holds timelines together? Or is Trump Keck himself? And Anon asks, send shivers down my spine. The time travel continues. You guys can see the writing on the wall and are getting a bit ahead of me. I don't know about the connection between Trump and Kekku, but Trump did indeed visit ancient Egypt as one of his first travelings. This is where he began to understand timelines and how he could have an impact on them. Random Anom's remarks, he built the pyramids, greatest builder of them all. Another Anon says, they feel when we all laugh at this, but it turns out to be true. And then another Anon says, Trump was kanks. The time travel continues. Here's my proof, by the way. Hillary Clinton will be defeated, unless something major changes in the timeline. Unlikely. And September 11, 2017 will be declared Peace and Prosperity Day, be approved as a national holiday by President Trump. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Editing Room Vital here. President Trump did not create a Peace and Prosperity Day, but he proclaimed September 11, 2017 as the Patriot Day. So, the name is not correct. But while googling for this name, I came across the Peace 2 prosperity movement that plans to vision Palestine and Israel people living in peace together. Now, make of it what you want. Back to the text. Forgot to mention, she will be declared the winner of the election by all mainstream media sources, but the American people will find out she didn't actually win. This will occur on the 21st of December. Some anons ask, will Trump ever disclose a time machine? Also, will he disclose aliens? Another anon says, are you one of the Pences? If not, who are you? To the alien question he replies, there are no aliens that we know of, just some other humans from far, far in the future. Abductions are real, because people in the future occasionally have a need for fresh samples of genetic material from the past to cure diseases and to rediversify their homogenized gene pool. No, I am not Pence or a Pence. If you haven't figured out who I am, I will give you a hint. The me that you see in public currently is less than 25 years old, and I will not confirm my identity even if you get it right. A lot of people saying, Baron? I know it's you, Baron. Baron Trump. Another anon asks, will whites get a homeland in the future? To which he replies, no, races will become a relic of the past. Regarding the election results, an anon asks, could you explain this to us? Is it going to be another type of leak that shows us that the votes were rigged, or evidence of votes being disposed? How does the public find out? To which he replies, it is a leak of non-compiled, non-encrypted source code for several models of voting machines, as well as some database transaction records from around the country, which essentially prove that the votes were/will be flipped. Regarding the remark that race will all be a relic of the past, an anon asks, how so? What will humans look like? To which the time traveler replies, well, a lot like Mike Pence, men and women, with a few variations. It becomes a major problem, and genes are essentially the commodity of the future. An anon asks, why did you choose to come back to this timeline? To which he replies, to witness these things myself. A lot of people do so with major historic events. It's sort of like a vacation. Then he answers some questions from other anons. How many timelines are there? To which he replies, I don't understand all that very well myself. To put simply, there are infinitive timelines. I'm not a scientist. Well, I work with computers. Are they still all occurring simultaneously? Yes. Do any of us exist among these timelines? Yes. An anon asks, why is Cain being gay even important? To which he replies, why is Cain being gay even important? I was hoping you guys would figure it out, but if it wasn't obvious, his wife is a Pence, I think. Maybe another traveler from far in the future. I don't know for sure, basically they all look similar. Anons afterwards lost their mind. Bro, mindblown.gif. We are through the looking glass now. There's no going back. Thank you for the best thread in a long time. It's making me question reality. This is making too much sense. And then he writes, for my future posts, I will use this trip code. Please remember it. Now, let's check what he has written after the trip code. I will leave a link in the description linking to all his posts. Most were from 2016 during the election period, but his most relevant post for today is this one here. It was a reply to a President Trump general, Baron is pulling the strings edition. To which he replied, all I have to say to this is, maybe. I just wanted to make a brief return to congratulate everyone here. This was after Trump had won the election. I was not expecting this, but we are now witnessing one of the best timelines, the best ending. As I previously stated, there was a less than 5% chance of Donald Trump winning outright without the trouble of an election fraud case against Hillary Clinton. Actually, at a certain point in time, it was less than 1% chance. Rest assured that all of you here had a major role to play in this, perhaps even more so than you think. The times ahead are not easy. I think he is realizing that as we speak. And you will see it in his demeanor. Donald Trump's true enemies will slowly begin to reveal themselves. Some you already know, but will be more willing to appear before the public, such as Soros. Edit Room Vital here again. It seems that at least this post has some truth to it, as Newt Gingrich was interrupted recently in the news as he mentioned George Soros' name. To which he remarked, so it's verboten then to mention Soros' name in TV? Back to the text. Many of Trump's old enemies will become his greatest allies. For example, Ted Cruz of Texas will be instrumental in ensuring the 3 Supreme Court nominations move forward smoothly. Edit room vital here again. Currently, US news is dominated by the passing of Justice Ginsburg. I am not following closely US politics as it's too confusing for an outsider, but it seems that Cruz, according to at least this YouTube video, calls on the Senate to confirm a successor before the election. So maybe this was what the time traveler was talking about. Back again to the time traveler. I'll be returning to my time period very soon, seeing as I've witnessed the event that I came here for. By the way, I'm not my uncle. His very last post under the trip code was in May 2018, an answer to the question, what's something you're proud of but can't tell anybody in real life? To which he replied, I am from the future. Beep. Trump has a time machine. You see, Mike Pence has a superior time machine. Beep. Beep.